So I'm going to talk about social media, how social media is used for social support. Are there any potential differences? So obviously social media is again, very broad term. But it can bolster social support, but it's how we use it. So it can be helpful particularly in really stressful life events. There's numerous research studies that do support this. So going and actually communicating with someone who we know is going to be helpful rather than just screaming out into the void.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to touch on the screaming out into the void in a sec. So it's how we use it. Do we share personal experiences? That doesn't necessarily guarantee that supportive response that you've touched on. Okay. There is research that talks about stigmatized people. So when they've shared an experience, it leads to a negative experience. And that's because they're being judged by their social media audience or the perception that they're being judged.
I was going to say that sounds familiar from what I've heard and read about for parenting. If you sometimes express difficulties or like that you're finding it really hard, particularly for moms, dads don't get judged in the same way, but for moms, like that if you find it really difficult or you're struggling with it or you're kind of at your wit's end with stuff, that people can be judgy instead of helpful. So I think that can be sometimes a bit of an issue. Sorry.
No. But that's exactly the point. No, that is exactly the point.